Hi guys, this is Vineet, and in today's video we will discuss about how you can install SQL Server Integration Services on your system. Before we proceed ahead, I would request you guys to please go ahead and subscribe to my channel. There's a subscribe button below this video. Click on that subscribe button. It will give you a bell icon. Click on that bell icon, select all notifications to get notifications regarding all my future videos. And why we want you to subscribe is because subscribing gives us huge motivation to create new videos for you and for other SQL professionals. And if you look at the middle section of the screen, you will see that right now I have around 340 subscribers, and I want this subscriber count to reach somewhere near 500 subscribers soon. And apart from that, I have around 142 videos posted on my channel, and this count is increasing day by day as we post videos every Tuesdays, Thursdays and Saturdays. And on the right hand side you will see watch time from subscribers. So out of 100 people that are watching our videos, only 4% out of them are subscribing to our channel. So I would request all of you guys to please go ahead and subscribe. It's very easy, just take few seconds. And on the bottom right hand section you see an animation in the blue color rectangle, which is showing how you can like my videos, subscribe to my channel and get notified regarding my future videos. And there are some points to remember while watching this video. I would request you guys to please watch videos till the end to gain better clarity of the concept, and if possible for you, please watch this video twice and perform any exercises in your test and lab environments only. Do not touch any production environments or production databases. And we would like to know your thoughts regarding our videos, so please share your comments with us. We love to read them. And in case you need the PDF copy of the notes that are discussed during the video, there are two methods. The first method is by paying a nominal fee. The link can be found in video description area. For this video I'm not creating any notes, so PDF notes is not available specifically for this video, but for other videos, yeah, we do create PDF notes. So yeah, you can check out the video description area to find the link to download the PDF notes by paying a nominal fee. Second method is the free method. In case you need the PDF notes for a particular video, the second method, which is free of cost, is you can subscribe to my channel. Subscribe button and just come below the video, click on subscribe. It will show you button as subscribed. After subscribing, you can take a screenshot of that section, which will show my channel name, the subscribe button, as well as the name of the video. And you can send that screenshot to my email address, vermavane@gmail.com. So once I get your email, I will send you the video I will send you the PDF notes as per the video title. So you will get that in your email. And apart from that, there are some playlists that I have created which you can watch. So there are 4 playlists which are the major playlists at present. So first one is the database design videos playlist. It contains videos related to database design, has around like 45 videos in this playlist, so watch them out. And apart from that, the second playlist is business continuities video playlist. So business continuity video playlist contains video related to disaster recovery and backup management, and you can watch this, check this playlist out. So it contains around like 47 videos at present, so check them out. And third playlist is on SQL Server indexing. It contains videos related to SQL Server indexing. Check this playlist out as well. And fourth playlist is on the SQL Server performance tuning. It contains videos related to SQL Server performance tuning, and the link can be found in the video description as well for this playlist. All of these links are present in the video description area, so you can check them out. The fifth link is my channel page link, which is youtube.com/@SQLTalks by Vineet. So check this channel link as well. You can find the subscribe button there as well on my channel, so you can subscribe from there as well. Apart from that, you will find popular videos on my YouTube channel, and you can also find all these playlists over there as well on my channel page. So guys, please go ahead and check out all these videos. These are very useful videos for you, and you will certainly like them. And let me go back to today's video description. So today we are covering the topic how you how you can install SQL Server Integration Services. So let's come back to my notes covering this topic. Let me select my pen pointer to cover it quickly, and let's select this one. Alright, so today we are covering installation of integration services, and we can basically use the SQL Server setup to install integration services with or without other SQL Server components on a single computer. We can solely install this integration services as well without any other components, but yeah, it would be good if we have other components like SQL Server Database Engine, where we are installing the SQL Server Integration Services. Otherwise, it can be installed on a standalone server as well. We can just have integration services installed on it. Now, there are two methods. We can install integration services standalone or side by side with other SQL components. So you can install SQL Server Integration Services in the following configurations. So there are two configurations. The first one is install SQL Server Integration Services on a computer that has no previous instances of SQL Server. So we can install a SQL Server Integration Services on a computer that are not running any previous instances of SQL Server. And second method is side by side, where we are installing integration services side by side with other SQL components or with an existing instance of SQL Server. Now, when you upgrade to the latest version of integration services, so we are talking about upgrades here. So when you upgrade to the latest version of integrated services on a computer that has an earlier version of integrated services installed on it, the current version runs side by side with the earlier version. So this is what happens if you upgrade an existing version of integration services with the latest version on a computer that is running the earlier version of integration services. Both of the versions will run side by side. Well, let me take you through a demo which is showing you how you can install the integration server services. Now, after you review the installation requirements for SQL Server and ensure that your computer meet those requirements, you are ready to install SQL Server Integration Services. So we are running currently the developer edition of SQL Server, so we have our media ready. So I can find the media out on the C drive, I think. So let me check. So we have SQL Server 2000 developer edition here, and apart from that, let me see if I have anything else. So I have ISO library where I have ISO for SQL Server 2022. So I am running two versions of SQL Server. The default version is running the SQL Server 2022. We can check that. So you can open up SQL Server Management Studio, which I've just triggered. So first what we'll do, we'll check the version of the SQL Server that we are running on the default instance. So for that I need to execute the command select @ version, which will show me the version of SQL Server that I'm running on my machine. So once it launches the SQL Server Management Studio, I will connect to the default instance of the SQL Server. So here it is giving me the dialog box. Let me connect to it. So it's connected to the default instance, and what I can do is I can trigger a query against any of the databases and type in the transact SQL command select @ version, which will give me the version of SQL Server. So here we are running the 2022 RTM version of SQL Server. So let's close it. Default instance is running SQL Server 2022, and we have a ISO file for that. So if you don't have this ISO file, you can download the free developer edition from Microsoft website. And also the SQL Server Integration Services is not included with the Express edition of SQL Server. Now what we need to do, we need to double click on this file, and under that you will see the setup.exe file which you can execute. So once it executes, it starts up the SQL Server setup wizard, and in that we can select the we can go to the installation section. So here we have options to install a new SQL Server standalone installation or add features to an existing installation. We can select this option and let's wait for the dialog box to pop up. So once this dialog box opens, we will make selections on the feature selection page as follows. So no updates are there. Let's click on next. So currently the scanning for product update is complete. So it has failed one of the tests, so that's okay with us. And we are not performing a new installation of SQL Server 2022, but instead we are adding features to an existing installation of SQL Server. So here we can select the instance. So we are selecting an instance. We are adding features to an existing instance of SQL Server, which is 2022. So only this is the one running SQL Server 2022, and we have invoked SQL Server 2022 setup. So the only instance we can modify is MS SQL Server 2000, MS SQL Server. The other instance is installed via the SQL Server 2019 installation media. So we cannot modify that instance. So let's go with the default instance of SQL Server. We will add features to it. Let's click on the next button. Okay. So it is asking us to install the Azure extension for SQL Server. I don't want to install it right now. I don't want to install Azure extension for SQL Server. For that we need a Azure login or maybe the Azure service principal ID and the service principal secret. Right now we don't have Azure account, so let's click next. Now we come on the next page, and on this feature selection page, under the shared features section, if we see, we have integration services component here. So we need to select this component if we want to install the integration services, and we can optionally click under the shared features. We can optionally select the client tool SDK to install managed assemblies for integration services programming. So right now if we take a look, it is not giving us the option to install that particular feature, so that feature is missing. Sometimes we do get feature client tool software development kit to install managed assemblies for integration services programming, but right now we are not getting that feature under the shared services. Now apart from that, under the instance features area, for now we have checked the integration services checkbox under the shared features, but let's go to the heading instance features, and we can optionally select the database engine services. Here it is already selected because this server already has a database engine services installed on it. We can create a server where we just install the integration services without the database engine services, and also we can install integration services on the system where database engine services are not already present. But in our case, database engine services are present and we are just installing the integration services. And basically the requirement to install the database engine services is that this particular database engine holds the SSIS catalog database, which is known as SSIS DB, to store, manage, run and monitor the SSIS packages. So that's why this database engine services is required if it's not already there. Now once we select the integration services, we can consider installation of additional components for integration services, but here we are not selecting anything. So I think we are done here, and let me discuss something. So some SQL Server components that you can select for installation on the feature selection page of the setup wizard install a partial subset of integration services components, and these components are useful for specific tasks, but the functionality of integration services is limited. For example, we take the database engine services option, install the so when we install this option, the database engine services, it also installs some of the integration services components as well, required for the SQL Server import and export wizard. To ensure a complete installation of integrated services, we must select this feature, the integration services. This should be checked if you want complete installation of integration services on our system. So I've selected this. Let's go ahead and install it. I don't think so any other options are pending, so let's go ahead. Okay, now click on the next button. So it is waiting for something, maybe the files. So in the next page it is asking us that Microsoft recommends that you use a separate account for each SQL Server service. In our case we are just going by defaults, we are not changing any accounts. So it is installing a service, SQL Server Integration Services. Click next, and it gives us a summary of what we are installing. So some of the dependencies are also already installed. We are installing the integration services, and let's go ahead. So it is now started installing the integration services. Let's wait for the installation process to finish. Now in the meantime it is installing. Let me go back to notes and go ahead with the next topic. So next topic is install a dedicated server for the ETL processes. So here we are not installing ETL or analysis services on a dedicated server. It has a database engine as well. This server has a database engine as well. To use a dedicated server for extraction, transformation, and loading or ETL processes, install a local instance of SQL Server database engine when you install integration services. We can also have a separate server as well, where we can install the integration services as well as the database engine, and we can treat the server as a dedicated server for the ETL process. Now integration services typically store the packages in an instance of the database engine and relies on SQL Server agent for scheduling those packages. So integration services database is hosted on the database engine instance of the database engine, and we also need the SQL Server agent for scheduling of those packages. Let's see the installation status before we proceed ahead. Installation is still going on. Let's continue. So if the ETL server does not have an instance of the database engine, so if we are installing just the integration services without the database engine on that server, we have to schedule and run packages from a different server that does not have an instance of a database engine. That does have an, not does not, that does have an instance of a database engine. So if we are just installing integration services on one server without the database engine, then the only way we can schedule and run packages is to use the other server that has the instance of the database engine. Now as a result, the packages aren't running on the ETL server, so the packages are stored on this database engine server, and they are not running on the ETL server, but they are running instead on the server on which they are stored basically. And as a result, the resources of a dedicated ETL server are underutilized or aren't being used as intended. Furthermore, the resources of the other server are strained by running the ETL processes. Alright, so in case we have a separate server, the integration server on a separate server, or a database engine on a separate server. So in those scenarios, the integration server remains underutilized. The resources of the integrated dedicated ETL server is underutilized, and the resources of the other server which has the database engine are more strained by running the ETL processes on the other dedicated ETL server. Alright, let's see the installation status. So it is completed. Let's click OK or close. Now the SQL Server integration services are installed on our machine. Now let's talk about the SSIS event logging. So by default in a new installation of integration services, this setting is not configured, and basically the integration services is configured not to log any events that are related to running of packages to the application event log. So in the default installation, the integration services is not configured to log anything to the application event logs. Basically the logging of running of packages and completion of packages, these events are not logged, and this setting basically prevents too many event log entries when you use the data collector feature of SQL Server. So the purpose of this setting turned off is to prevent so many event log entries when you use the data collector feature of SQL Server. The events that aren't logged are basically two events, event ID 12288, which is the package started event, and the other event ID is 12289, which is package finished successfully event. And to log these events to application event log, we need to open up our registry settings for editing and go to this following registry key: HK local machine software Microsoft SQL Server 130 SSIS node. Let's try to open registry editor and see if we find this setting. So once you open registry editor, click on yes. So we need to go to HK local machine and software, and under that Microsoft. So under Microsoft we have Microsoft SQL Server. Let's go to that. The Microsoft SQL Server, we basically need to select the instance. So I think we have instance 160, which is referring to the SQL Server 2022. Under that we have SSIS node, so select that. Under that we see the keyword, or we find the value log package execution to event log. So by default this is set to 0, and if you want the package execution to get logged to the event logs, application event logs, we should turn back this setting to on. So let's turn this setting to on. So please remember this place: if you want the application event log entries to be logged in the application event logs, you need to turn on this setting by setting it to 1. The setting is log package execution to event log. So this is done, and let's go through the demo on how to install the additional components of integration services. So let's start that. Let me close up the registry editor, and okay, let's talk about installing the additional components. And for the complete installation of integration services, and we need to select the components that we need from the following list. So for integration services, we basically install SSIS with the SQL Server setup wizard, and we select SSIS install with the following components. We have just shown you the installation. So when we install integration services feature, which we had just shown you, this basically install the support for SSIS cataloged on the SQL Server database engine. There's an optional scale out feature that can also be installed. It was coming. Let me show you again quickly. So we go to the installation again quickly. Here we're not installing anything, but yeah, let me show you quickly what those features are. So we have gone through the update checks and all. Let's go next. So once this is done, I think it will take us to the install rules page, which is fine, and we are not performing a new installation. We are trying to add features to the existing installation, and we are not using Azure extension for SQL Server here. Now we are on the feature selection page. So basically, when we install this integration services component, this one, it basically adds the support for the SSIS catalog on the SQL Server database engine. It also provides the optional scale out feature. We will talk about it in our future videos, but not right now. We can install the scale out feature from here. It also installs the 32-bit and 64-bit SSIS components. And installing the integration services alone does not install the tools required to design and develop SSIS packages. So just by installing integration services on the system, we do not get tools to develop and design the SSIS package. For that, there is a separate installation in the Visual Studio, which is SQL Server Data Tools, and we will show it out to you in our next videos. How to install the SQL Server Data Tools. So just by alone installing integration services, we cannot develop and design the SSIS packages. For that, a separate tool is required, which is SQL Server Data Tools. Now, we also need that database engine services as well. So we basically install the database engine with the SQL Server setup wizard, and selecting the database engine services basically allows us to create and host the SSIS catalog database, which is SSIS DB, to store, manage, and run and monitor the SSIS packages. And apart from that, we also need the SQL Server Data Tools and the appropriate extension. And we basically use the SQL Server Data Tools to deploy SSIS packages, design and deploy SSIS packages. And let's go ahead and let me show you how you can install the SQL Server Data Tools. Let me cancel it out. Let's go to the installation of SQL Server Data Tools. So here we have an option. You see the fourth option, install SQL Server Data Tools. Otherwise that can be downloaded from website as well, but let's choose this option. It is already taking us to the website, so which is taking us to the page to download SQL Server Data Tools for Visual Studio. We are using version 2022 of SQL Server, so let's download the SSDT for Visual Studio 2022. So it is giving us the instruction, but where is the download location? Download SSDT. Okay, let's see where those are. So it is talking about the changes, but not giving us the installation link to us. Let's see how we can download these tools. Let me select download SQL Server Data Tools. Okay, so we have a link, download SQL Server Data Tools for Visual Studio 2022, and this is the page we already opened. Let's select the other page, SQL Server Data Tools. I hope so. This one is a different page. Oh, okay. So it is again taking us to a page. Okay, this is giving us the description. So let's go to SSDT overview. Here we have release notes only. Let me check, guys, how you can download the SQL Server Data Tools. This next link, download SSDT. So let's see. So it is showing us the method how to install the SQL Server Data Tools basically. So method is a little cumbersome. Let me show you how to do that. So if you want to install the SSDT with Visual Studio 2022, there is a procedure to do that. Let me go through it and get back to you. Give me a few minutes, guys. So guys, this page is saying if Visual Studio 2022 is already installed. It is not already installed on my machine, so let me install the community edition for Visual Studio 2022. So let me type download Visual Studio 2022, which is the latest version of Visual Studio. Now let me see the downloads area for this. So here it is giving us 3 editions. So the edition which is free is the community edition, which has a powerful ID and it's free for students and for open source contributors and individuals. Otherwise you can opt for other editions as well if you want the paid editions. So I'm doing a free download community edition. So let's quickly go ahead and it is downloading the installer file. So once it downloads the file, what we'll do is we'll install the Visual Studio setup. Let's wait for it to complete. So once the file is downloaded, it has around like 3.8 MB file, which is quite small. Let's see what it does. So the installation of SQL Server Data Tool can be done from within the Visual Studio. And once the Visual Studio is installed, we can install the SQL Server Data Tools. And we have not installed the Integration Services feature pack for Azure. That basically requires the Azure login. As we had seen during the installation, it was asking us to install the Integration Services feature pack for Azure, but that requires the Azure login. So at this moment we don't have Azure login, so we have not installed that. So basically installation of feature pack for Azure lets your packages connect to the storage and analytics services on the Azure cloud, including the following services, and services can be the Azure Blob Storage, Azure HT Insight, Azure Data Lake Store, Azure Synapse Analytics, and Azure Data Lake Storage. So your packages can connect to the storage and can avail the following the services which I have mentioned in the Azure cloud. I think that's it, and let's just go ahead and install this Visual Studio. That will also be required for installing SQL Server Data Tools. So we need to set up few things before we can configure the installation. So right now I'm going ahead and installing the Visual Studio. Let's wait for it to complete its installation. So guys, it is showing that the Visual Studio installer is installed. Let's see what comes next. So it is getting the Visual Studio installer ready. Let's see what we need to install on this machine. So guys, the Visual Studio wizard has opened. So if we take a look at these nodes, we need to launch the Visual Studio installer, and in the installer select the edition of Video Studio that you want to add SSDT to. So in our case we are doing just a fresh installation, so we are doing just a fresh installation. So what we need to install is this basically the data storage and processing tools for Visual Studio. Let's quickly go ahead, and in this wizard we can select data storage and processing tools which are required. So this will install the SQL Server Data Tools, and it will also install Azure Data Lake and Stream Analytics tool, and it will also install .NET Framework 4.7.2 development tools. Let's go ahead. We can do install while downloading, or we have an option install. So let's choose install while downloading. So there are two options, install while downloading and download all then install. So we can choose either of the option. So let's choose install while downloading and click on install. So it has started the downloading operation, and it will install it side by side as well. Let's wait for this operation to finish so that our data tools can get installed. I'm monitoring and pausing this video. So package is around 1.31 GB. It's gonna take some time. So this is basically how you install the speed is okay. So I think, yeah, let me pause this video and let you know when it completes. So guys, we got the message that we are done with the installation of SQL Server Data Tools, and it is also saying Visual Studio has been successfully installed, and it requires a reboot to clean up the remaining files. So guys, we are stopping our video here as a reboot is required, and that will basically stop the recording. So guys, we are done with this video, and this is how you install the SQL Server Data Tools. And in this video we have shown you how you can install the integration services, as well as how you can install the SQL Server Data Tools. In our next video we will cover this topic, installation of integration services side by side, which I think does not contain any practicals, I would say. So yeah, we will cover this section in our next video. So stay tuned. Please subscribe to our channel. There is a subscribe button below this video. Click on that subscribe button. You will get a bell icon. Click on that bell icon. Select all notifications to get notifications regarding all my future videos. Please do post your comments to us. We would like to hear your thoughts on our videos. And please share this video with your friends. Ask them to subscribe to our channel in case you feel my channel is useful for them. You can share with them my channel link, which you can find in the video description area. Thank you so much for your time on this video today, and you have a wonderful day ahead, guys. Thank you.